Zombie outbreak. Coming to the end. I'm not afraid. 2 weeks before the zombie outbreak, I received a message in the hot search to quickly transform my bakery into a safe house. Go to the wholesale market to stock up on rice, flour, frozen meat, bottled water, vegetable seeds, daily necessities, as much as you can buy. Premature outbreak of zombies, indiscriminate zombie attacks, virus transmission that ends at an unknown time. How can bakeries survive in the apocalypse? Keywords of the novel. Doomsday Bakery no pop-ups, Doomsday Bakery complete collection download, Doomsday Bakery latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Survival or Lying Flat. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Survival or Lying Flat. Xiaoqi, hurry up. Close the window. Jiayang urged me behind him. He took the remote control in my hand and immediately closed the window that I had only opened a few inches. A few seconds later, that neither human nor ghostly thing bit the shoulder of the man next door and fell onto the glass window. His thin body was bulging with veins, and his eyes were wide open. He knew we were inside the house, but because of the one-way perspective glass, he didn't know where we were standing. His hands tried to pound the glass, but he didn't have any strength. He can only roar silently, we can only remain indifferent. Jiayang looked at me, patted my shoulder, and turned around to continue playing with the vegetables planted in the glass room. He got used to it, and I got used to it, too. This is the first time in the past 2 months that we have seen the ghost bite people with our own eyes. Some of the victims were customers who had come to the store before, some familiar villagers, some family-like neighbors. All of them were, miraculously, revived after being bitten, turned into identical ghost, walked in the village, and became the ghost here. Among the countless science fiction apocalyptic films that Jia Yang and I have watched, this is called a zombie. The beginning of the incident happened 3 months ago. Pop 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 pop. Pop 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 pop. I flipped over and picked up my phone by the bedside. At 2:05 a.m., I opened Weibo's hot search and casually scrolled down. I saw entertainment news articles one by one, mixed with newly confirmed terms. In recent years, newly confirmed terms have frequently appeared in hot searches, and I am no longer surprised. Going further down, a hot search for country laboratory researcher fleas attracted me. Clicking on the entry, the first one is the same title and a video. I am used to liking before continuing to watch videos, and the same goes for today. The video is very long, with Chinese and English characters beginning with an introduction to a biological laboratory in country. The accompanying image includes a large number of animal experiments and test tubes, as well as some English report content, which translates a recent research topic. Phase 5 clinical experiment on X.virus. In the previous experimental results, it was shown that after injecting the virus, the body of the experimental mice and rabbits gradually stiffened and their movements began to slow down. The mice quickly died, and the rabbits' originally black pupils gradually turned red and covered with a layer of mist. After severe convulsions, they also died quickly. After the simple experimental research results, a man's voice appeared in the video, speaking English. The subtitle slowly read, "The experiment has entered the human body, and during the transportation of the experimenters, several volunteers have fled the laboratory, causing the virus to spread." Before finishing listening, the video suddenly showed that it could not be played. Clicking on and refreshing, this entry has disappeared. I searched for everything related to country laboratory, researcher, X-virus, etc. again in the search box, but only saw, no relevant results found. Strangely, I couldn't find anything. It's probably a rumor, so it was deleted so quickly, I thought, as a new message popped up in the Weibo chat box. The zombie virus is about to break out, prepare something quickly. If you can persuade anyone, it's one. I replied to you how to know, but the other party never replied. My mind is full of fog, what does this mean? Refreshing again, the hot search terms on Weibo no longer show any content related to confirmed cases or viruses. I opened Baidu and searched for what to prepare if the end of the day came. Hundreds of boxes of instant noodles, self-heating hot pot, all of which were fast food. Thinking about what I should prepare if the end of the world really came, accompanied by the patter of rain, I slowly fell asleep. The next day, when I woke up in a daze, Jiayang turned over and hugged me. Xiaoqi, are you awake? I was still a bit confused and habitually touched my phone. I received another message from that strange account last night, a WeChat account, but his Weibo account was blocked. I instantly woke up and told Jiayang about the strange thing that happened last night. Jiayang is somewhat skeptical that there are various natural disasters or chemical leaks around the world every day, but there is no news of any new viruses. Jiayang, are you sure there are zombies? I asked anxiously. If it's really the end of the world, then I'll lie flat and I'll become a zombie too. Jiayang laughed and looked like a zombie. I was amused and said, then I'll turn into a zombie first, and you'll be the first one to bite. Recently, our bakery has not been renovated and has encountered cloudy and rainy weather. 2 bored people added the WeChat account with their small accounts, but received the same message content as in last night's video. That person said that the speed of zombie virus transmission is extremely fast, and M country cannot control it. Only by establishing a safe house and staying in a safe house can we avoid infection. The virus incident described by this person is too real. Jiayang and I looked at each other, and the originally relaxed atmosphere became serious and heavy. Let's get up and have breakfast first. I broke the long-lasting calm and started this new day with Jiayang. Jiayang remained silent all day, seemingly thinking about something. I don't speak either. I have always enjoyed reading novels and movies about the apocalypse, but I never thought it would happen in real life. I am worried about self-rescue like burning a boat, and worrying about letting all our accumulated assets go to waste. If there are zombies, can we really survive? In the evening, after dinner, the 2 of us sat on the sofa brushing our phones. I expressed my concerns to Jiayang and remained silent for more than 10 minutes. Jiayang expressed his thoughts. We don't know about the future development and changes. If we really become zombies, we will only die without dignity. If we survive, there may be a turning point. Perhaps this zombie virus will be controlled. The best case is that this is just a rumor, so let's build a safe house bakery based on this rumor, and then we will post some advertisements. Maybe the money will slowly come back. Jiayang seems to be comforting me. Afterwards, Jiayang and I decided to change the renovation plan of the bakery to renovation and construction of a safe house. If we follow this person's instructions for development, the virus will spread to our country in half a month. If things don't happen as this person said, then we will open a safe house and a bakery. Between struggling to survive and lying flat, we chose to survive. So, we launched our safe house program. If there were rumors circulating that the end of the world was imminent and an outbreak occurred, how would you choose? End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Safe House 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Safe House 1. After deciding on the safe house plan with Jiayang, we are ready to calculate the current funds and start envisioning the construction of the safe house. The house where Jiayang and I currently reside is left by our grandparents. The house is located in a vacation village that is more than an hour away from the city center. There are not many tourists on weekdays, and on weekends, there are tourist cars that take tourists to play. The passenger flow is not high but also quite busy. 5 years ago, Jiayang and I became interested in the foot traffic here. After resigning from our jobs in the city, we decided to open a bakery here. Our parents on both sides supported us, and the bakery's business was sufficient for our needs. Occasionally busy and leisurely, we were able to live a stable life. In recent years, roads have been built in the village, and the flow of people for farmhouses has been increasing. Some internet celebrities have also come to check in, and gradually, our bakery has become a popular check-in point. Over the years, we bought a car and even bought the bakery house we were originally renting. After calculation, we still have $400,000 to $500,000 in our hands. A while ago, the renovation of the farmhouse resulted in a decrease in customer traffic. We also followed suit in renovating our store. We originally planned to enclose the bakery and our own house in a courtyard to accommodate more people to check in at the store. The outer wall has been repaired now, and it is only 1 meter high. There is a large amount of cement piled up between the bakery and our house. Jiayang brought a piece of white paper. His original job was as an interior designer, and he quickly drew the house between us and the bakery. Xiaoqi, look, when we were designing before, we planned to expand the area of the bakery and designed a small outdoor courtyard in the middle, but now it definitely won't work. Then seal off the entire bakery and house, we definitely don't have enough cement. What I think is to build the wall higher, reinforce the house, and install one-way perspective glass on it, so that we can plant some vegetables on the middle piece of open space. Yes. With the zombies here, we definitely won't be able to go out. I thought for a moment the original yard could have 4 or 5 coffee tables, but if we change it to a small vegetable garden, we can also grow a lot of things. Yes. And the houses on both sides of us. Let's make another door between the bakery and the yard. If the bakery is attacked, we can keep our small yard and our own house. Jiayang, do we need to stock up on some supplies? Our house may not be able to store them, so why not dig a cellar at home to store them? Sure. Jiayang circled the place where the bakery originally stored flour and milk and said, I checked the bakery during the day. Before the renovation, we thought about finishing it and reopening. The flour was also good, with 2 bags left and a shelf life of 8 months. There was a lot of milk and 5 boxes, but the shelf life was not long, only 3 months. It seems you've already figured it out. I recalled that after reading the message sent by the mysterious person this morning, Jia Yang frowned and went out for a walk. The zombie is really here, then I have to protect my precious wife. Isn't that the time when men come into play? Jia Yang suddenly straightened his chest, slightly curled up the corner of his mouth, making a proud expression. All right. Don't be stingy. I circled the open space next to the kitchen, can we dig it out below? There is a drainage pipe under the kitchen, which may not work, Jia Yang thought for a moment. The dining table is fine here. Once we dig it up, we can install a retractable entrance that can be closed when not in use, so it won't affect our eating. Okay. And in the evening, Jia Yang and I discussed for a long time about the reinforcement of the house, the purchase of the house, the preparation of various tools, the stocking of medicines, and the parents of both parties working in the city. There isn't much time left, there are too many things to prepare in just half a month. Jiayang and I have decided to divide the work and cooperate. He is preparing for the renovation of the house and the preparation of detailed items such as tools, and I will be responsible for the purchase of materials. The house is our shelter. Without a sturdy house, all our supplies are useless. Therefore, we spent 300,000 yuan on house renovation and purchased some items such as solar generators. I took the remaining 200,000 yuan to the wholesale market for procurement. I don't know how long it takes to avoid zombies, so I decided to buy enough food to eat for a year. Considering that we need to take shelter with 4 parents, the amount of food we need to buy is even larger. I purchased 1,000 kilograms of rice, 100 kilograms of medium gluten flour, dozens of kilograms of grains, compressed biscuits, dozens of boxes of bagged instant noodles for the staple food category, and also bought some self-heating hot pot, sour and spicy noodles, etc. to occasionally improve the meal. There was originally a refrigerator and a freezer at home, and I used to make cured meat, along with some pork, duck, and goose meat that I had bought before, which were already packed to the brim. So I bought a second-hand freezer in the second-hand idle app and filled it with a lot of frozen meat. Worried about the monotony of the food, I bought enough frozen food such as quick-frozen dumplings, quick-frozen rice dumpling, because I bought them in the wholesale market and agreed with the boss to buy them from him after that, so the price was much cheaper. Afterwards, there were scattered oil, salt, soy sauce, vinegar, tea, and various seasonings. I bought the large packaging of rice dumplings. Passing by the flower and bird market, I saw a vendor selling vegetable seeds, so I bought seeds of various vegetables and fruits such as cabbage, radish, cucumber, and tomato. I hope they can be successfully planted in our small vegetable garden by then. When searching for refrigerators in the second-hand market, I also stumbled upon 2 solar panels. Previously, there was already a solar panel in my home, so I waited for the seller to install it. If there was a power outage, it could ensure the normal operation of the freezer and refrigerator. After buying these things, there was no extra space on the first floor of the house. Jiayang called for workers to urgently build a cellar, and simple waterproofing measures were taken. A messy cellar was completed. We moved the shelves of the bakery to the cellar, and also moved the previously brewed wine to the cellar. We placed the shelves of the bakery in the cellar, arranged various foods and seasonings, and filled most of the space in the wine cellar. Water is also a necessity in daily life. I mainly purchase bottled water, and the smallest bottled water is also 1.5 L. The bottled water fills a quarter of the wine cellar. I went to the wholesale market to buy a large amount of food and transported it to the wine cellar. It had already taken me 3 days. After moving the last box of instant noodles, I collapsed on the sofa. Looking back on the freight truck that drove through the village road 2 days ago, it would definitely attract the attention of many people. Jiayang, did the villagers say anything when they saw the truck a few days ago? Someone said it a long time ago. I immediately bounced up and said, "What? Then everyone will know about building a safe house." That night after we discussed, the next day I went to Aunt Zhang's place and told him that our bakery had a renovation plan. We expanded our business scope. During the renovation process, there will be many trucks transporting goods. Once the renovation is completed, we will advertise our village. Aunt Zhang said, "Give it your all." Aunt Zhang is a well-known news outlet in the village. I told Aunt Zhang that everyone in the village knows that we are engaged in renovation. I applauded and said to Jiayang, "You really cow." End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Safe House 2. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 4. Facing Zombies. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 4. Facing Zombies. Old Lin. Jiayang's mother shouted with concern. "Dad! How are you?" I shouted towards the back seat and saw a bite mark on Jiayang's arm. Unlike the bite marks I saw before, Jiayang's hand had a particularly deep bite mark, as if he had been bitten by a fierce beast, oozing black blood outwards. Hiss. Jiayang's father made a suction sound, and the back seat of the car was in a mess. Mom and Dad and Jiayang's mother surrounded Jiayang's father, but Jiayang's father could no longer speak. His lips became increasingly pale, and he tried to control it, but his body kept trembling. "Quick! Tie him up!" Jiayang shouted, and his parents quickly responded by catching the data cable thrown by Jiayang and tying his father's hands behind his back. Jiayang's mother took out a piece of clothing from her backpack, and her father quickly tore it into strips of cloth and tied Jiayang's entire body. At this moment, Jiayang's father began to make soft growls, as if there was a mouthful of phlegm in his throat that could not be spit out. Jia Yang's mother patted Jia Yang's father's back and said, "Old Lin, old Lin, old Lin. I never imagined that this virus would spread so quickly and be right beside us." I opened my phone, and the message in the WeChat group that the mysterious person pulled was already 99 plus. Everyone is discussing fiercely, and suspected cases have appeared in their cities. I quickly asked if a situation like Jia Yang's father was infected. The speed at which a mysterious person recovers from infection will only get faster and faster. The blood circulation in the human body only takes about 20 to 25 seconds. After being bitten or in contact with zombie blood, it will not immediately develop symptoms. At the beginning, it is a dying symptom for 10 minutes, and then it begins to turn into a zombie state. The specific time of change is not determined. I conveyed the words of the mysterious person to Jiayang. Upon hearing this, Jiayang quickly raised his hand and glanced at his watch. It had been 5 minutes since we set off. In silence, Jiayang switched his route to the highway, which took half an hour to reach our vacation village. Along the way, I watched Jia Yang's father go crazy step by step. After a soft roar in his throat, Jia Yang's father suddenly quieted down. Jia Yang's mother was frightened and she placed her finger in front of Jia Yang's father's nose, then quickly covered her mouth. "Lao Lin. He's out of breath." Jia Yang's mother began to sob. My parents were also frightened and fell into silence. I looked at Jia Yang's father and then at Jia Yang. Jia Yang kept pursing his mouth and looking ahead with his eyes. Before we could react, Jia Yang's father's body suddenly twitched and his eyes widened. His eyes seemed to be sealed by plastic film, making it difficult to see the pupils clearly. "Ah!" Jiayang's mother screamed again. Dad asked Jiayang's mother to sit with her, and her mother hugged Jiayang tightly. Dad came to Jiayang's father's side and controlled him. At the doorstep, Jiayang parked his car at the entrance of the bakery and finally said, "Quick. Everyone, get off the car." We all got out of the car one by one. Jia Yang didn't know where to get a fried dough twists rope and tied up his father with his father. Jia Yang's father is completely different from before. I can't believe that the zombie is right in front of me. He looked the same as before, but his behavior was completely different, as if he had suffered a stroke and hemiplegia. The bite marks on his arms were still bleeding outwards. After Jia Yang and his father tied up Jia Yang's father, "Let's quickly remove the things from the car." We quickly moved the luggage of Jia Yang's parents back to the house. As soon as I came downstairs, I saw Jia Yang and his father locking the door of the bakery. I walked up and said, "Jia Yang. What are you doing? Dad is still outside." "He's not my dad anymore, he's a zombie." After Jia Yang finished saying these words, it seemed as if he had lost all his strength and collapsed on me. My shoulders felt a warm sensation. Jia Yang's mother and parents were stimulated and also collapsed on the sofa. The two mothers were sobbing, while my father cursed, "Damn it, what exactly is this?" The rustling sound came from the bakery, as if Jia Yang's father was struggling desperately. I couldn't help but shed tears. I remember when I first got married to Jia Yang's father had a kind face, and I still remember him saying he had an extra daughter. Jia Yang's father doesn't talk much. Previously, Jia Yang and I decided to open a bakery in the village, and he also added us a lot of money after sitting paralyzed for a while. Jia Yang seemed to have thought of something and asked me, "Xiaoqi, X, the mysterious person, said, how can the zombie virus spread?" "It will be transmitted through blood." Jia Yang immediately lifted me up and examined my entire body. "What are you looking at?" "We're going to change clothes now, it's best to disinfect." Jia Yang turned inward and said, "Mom and Dad, please check if you have any blood left by Dad just now." Jia Yang's mother had small bloodstains left by Jia Yang's father on her body, and her emotions began to collapse. "Jia Yang." Jia Yang hugged Jia Yang's mother and patiently explained, "Mom, things happen too quickly. I know it's difficult for you to accept. Let me explain it to you slowly, okay? Now let's go upstairs and tidy up and change the clothes that have stained Dad's blood. After listening to Jiayang's words, my parents turned around and went upstairs to take a shower and change clothes. I followed Jiayang around the back door of the house to the bakery. Outside the bakery, you can still hear Jiayang's father. No, that's the sound of zombies colliding, dong, dong. He doesn't stop when he's tired like a human, constantly pounding, pounding, pounding. The village is still as usual, with several tourist buses parked in the parking lot, and some tourists taking walks and playing. Music was playing on the village loudspeaker. Jiayang drove the car to the back door of the house, and I took out the water pipe. We silently washed and wiped the interior of the car, and we could see Jiayang's father's clear fingerprints, which showed that he had tried hard to control it. But the speed of transmission of this virus is too fast, that small bite mark can turn people into demons. Jiayang, what should we do? I asked while wiping and trying. Isolation. Jiayang said firmly, I can't let any of you become zombies anymore. He paused for a moment and said, you see, my dad is like this. The zombie virus is too scary and spreads too fast. In just 10 minutes, it went from a human state to a ghostly one. The village has not been spread yet, but we need to be vigilant at all times. I installed several cameras during the renovation, and we need to be vigilant at all times. If a zombie appears in the village, we will immediately close all entrances, okay? Then I'll store the water in the garden tonight. Be prepared at all times. Let's discuss with our parents again tonight and have them count our supplies to see if there is anything else we need. We are currently in discussions, but we are not aware that a new group announcement is being released on WeChat. A nationwide outbreak of zombies, please stay in a safe house immediately. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Comprehensive Outbreak. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Comprehensive Outbreak. After washing up with Jiayang, I arrived downstairs and my parents had already prepared dinner. Jiayang, Xiaoqi, what's going on? Jiayang's mother couldn't help but speak. Mom, this is the situation. I described the situation to Jiayang's mother in detail and introduced her parents to the inventory in the cellar. Jiayang's mother seemed to have anticipated it. She pointed to a bag of food in the corner of the living room and said, previously, Jiayang's father and I pickled some small vegetables and prepared to bring them here to eat together. At this point, Jiayang's mother couldn't help but cry. Mom patted Jiayang's shoulder and said, is there any other way to treat it? At present, there is none. X said that the reason why the research institute fled was due to the uncontrollable situation that occurred after synthesizing this virus. The early mouse experiments were still controllable, and antibodies appeared in the 5th phase of the mouse experiment. Later, in primate experiments, it was found that once injected, irreversible necrosis and organ failure occurred in the body, but there was no brain death. But the magic of this virus lies in its strong replication ability, which can control the human brain to consume similar nutrients. Just transitioning into a zombie state provides endless strength. If you eat the same kind, just like we eat, you will always have strength, and your strength will be very strong. Only by exploding one's head will zombie activity stop. We know that none of us can go and blow up the head of Jia Yang's father. We kept hearing the sound coming from the bakery, without any intention of eating. After dinner, the 5 of us began to prepare for the rest of our family, which may be the last tranquility before the storm. Dad is an electrician and modified the several sets of batteries we prepared. Because the freezer is powered by AC, it may not be able to provide such a large amount of electricity in the future. My mother reclassified the items I purchased, greatly saving space. Jiayang's mother and I dug the soil in the vegetable garden together. These days, we have been busy decorating and purchasing materials. With the help of our family, we can plant the seeds tomorrow morning after several hours of sorting. If everything goes smoothly, we can close the door and hide in a safe house tomorrow. In the evening, we returned to our respective rooms. Looking down from our room, I could see the room in the bakery. I walked over to Jiayang and leaned lightly against him. Xiaoqi, I didn't expect it to be so fast. It's all my fault. If I had listened to you and picked up my parents earlier, such a problem wouldn't have occurred. It's not like that. The spread speed is too fast, the city has already fallen, and it's only a matter of time before it reaches us. Dad, is it really okay to be locked up in a bakery? It's okay, I've already locked the door and tied my dad to the shelf, making it difficult to unlock. Is Dad still alive? He can be said to be alive, but he has no consciousness of his own. Dad used his last bit of consciousness to help us leave the main city area. If it weren't for Dad, all of us might have been bitten. Yes. That damn thing rushed over too fast, I didn't even realize it. By the time I realized it, Dad had already been bitten. Sleepless all night, Jiayang kept staring at the computer, looking at his father through the bakery's camera. In the morning, I noticed that Jiayang couldn't hold on, so I covered him with a blanket and went downstairs with my mother to plant seeds. The water in both large storage buckets is already full. Two mothers are preparing breakfast, while Dad is stretching in the living room, as if nothing had happened yesterday, but everyone's eyes are intentionally or unintentionally looking towards the direction of the bakery. I went upstairs to ask Jia Yang to come down for breakfast, but saw someone open the door of the bakery. I quickly woke up Jiayang, but it was too late. Quickly tell those two people not to untie Jiayang's father. Ghost. A boy screamed, and Jia Yang was instantly awakened. He looked at the bakery and widened his eyes. But it was too late, and the couple untied the rope that bound Jiayang's father. Perhaps they thought we were abusing the old man and trying to save him. But the next second, Jia Yang's father seemed to wake up and quickly bit the boy, as if he had been hungry for a long time, starting to bite the boy. The girl was so scared that she didn't move. When she realized she was about to run, Jia Yang's father had already felt her presence and bit her arm. The girl seemed to have a sudden survival reaction and quickly ran towards the village. Jiayang's father reacted and continued to bite the boy's body. I took out my phone and sent a message to the village merchant group. Everyone, hurry home. The zombie is here. Meanwhile, Jiayang ran downstairs and told his parents not to open the door. At the entrance, there is not only Jia Yang's father but also a zombie that may wake up in 10 minutes. In no time, Jiayang and his parents came upstairs. We nervously looked at Jiayang's father, who was gnawing on the screen. In no time, he walked out as if he had eaten enough. The man on the ground with his arm gnawed on, revealing bleeding flesh and bones, made me nauseous from this scene. It's not that the movie is not about special effects makeup, but about the real, flesh and bone connection, that has been gnawed on. As soon as I thought of this, I immediately rushed to the toilet and kept vomiting. The development of the situation exceeded our imagination. From the village merchant group, we learned that there were already many people infected in the city, but everyone thought that the village we are currently in is very safe. A few tourists think that our bakery here has been renovated and want to take a chance to see if we have opened a shop to buy bread and check in. Some tourists have been bitten by Jia Yang's father on the roadside, and the boy in the bakery kept convulsing before standing up in no time. Jiayang. It's only been 7 minutes, isn't it? Why is it so fast? It seems that the previous mutation prediction was not so accurate. Zombie consciousness doesn't always wake up in 10 minutes. Jia Yang kept staring at the boy on the screen. I saw him stumble and run out, entering a biting state with Jia Yang's father. More and more people are turning into zombies, and there is a strong smell of blood in the air. The homestay owner in the merchant group sent a video. The video was full of brutal situations of tearing and biting. Everyone is telling each other to close their doors tightly. Some say they have heard of an unknown virus in the city, some say their families have been bitten, and some say that the city has already fallen. Also, who transmitted the virus here? The first one to shout zombies just now was the bakery owner's wife. At this point, we cannot become targets of public criticism. Upon seeing the news, I immediately took my phone and went to find Jia Yang. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. People in need of help. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. People in need of help. Someone filmed a video of Jia Yang's father and said, "Look. This is the father-in-law of the bakery owner." Indeed, it was spread by their family. Jia Yang took his phone and comforted, "Don't worry. They're just in a hurry." Looking at the information in the group, the accusation was quickly overshadowed by Aunt Zhang's message. "Don't talk nonsense about the bakery couple. They still want to promote our village and attract more tourists. No one wants this virus outbreak. Let's close the door and hide from these things quickly." Soon, the group began discussing how to avoid zombies. The number of living people outside is decreasing, and zombies cannot be found to be bitten. They wander aimlessly in the village. Occasionally, a few zombies pass by the entrance of a bakery, and their naked flesh and blood can be seen. Even a zombie's head was smashed open, as if there were white brain flowers flowing. But she felt nothing at all, dragging her broken leg in one direction, looking a bit nauseous. "Oh, it's not just me." Mom and Dad also got dry and nauseous when they saw these scenes. The smell of blood in the air was too strong, and Dad took out disinfectant and sprayed it everywhere. Now, the air is filled with a strong smell of disinfectant. So, we started living in a safe house. In the first week, everyone seemed to calm down because in rural areas, each household had a large amount of food inventory, and water and electricity were always in a normal state. During this period, neighbors who lacked food also helped each other. The homestay is home to more than 10 tourists, so the demand for food will be even greater. The homestay owner often sends help messages in the group, but everyone is afraid to go out to deliver. Only the neighbor next door occasionally throws some food through the balcony, but it's just a drop in the bucket. 2 weeks have passed, and everyone's inventory is running low. From the second floor of the house, you can still see groups of zombies wandering around. During this period, some people wanted to venture into the farmland to pick some vegetables and go home, but the zombies seemed to have a positioning system that could quickly locate moving humans and run over, biting them tightly. The vicinity of my house is a large area of farmland. That morning, we saw a familiar villager being eaten raw, and the bloody smell caught the attention of other zombies. In an instant, groups of zombies rushed over and had a delicious meal. The once lush farmland has been transformed into a slaughterhouse. I once thought our safe house would be discovered by zombies, because occasionally a few zombies would climb up the glass roof of the vegetable garden, as if they knew we were inside. We looked up and he also looked inside, just looking at each other, but these zombies probably couldn't see us. On the 20th day of the zombie outbreak, the homestay owner, who had been hungry for several days, finally thought of his drone and manipulated it to search everywhere. By the way, please send the current situation of the village to the WeChat group. Hundreds of households in the village, at least over 100 people have turned into zombies, and they are all wandering around. I saw that the house of Grandpa and Grandma Zhang next door was empty, leaving a few bloodstains in the yard. Although the village has opened a farmhouse, most people's houses have been renovated, but their homes have always been wooden houses that have not been repaired. Zombies should have smelled their scent and rushed into the houses, dismembering them and eating them. On the street, there were several young people dressed in bright and glamorous clothes, faces they had never seen before. They were probably farmhouses that came to the village for tourism. Originally, they should have been freely splashing their youth, rather than becoming zombies. The owner of the homestay once again sent a request for help message in the group, hoping that everyone could give him some food. The tourists in the homestay and he have been hungry for several days. I discussed with Jiayang and decided to share some instant noodles and fast food to help. My parents also agreed. As fellow villagers, we have all had face-to-face meetings before and we are all very good people. I asked the homestay owner in the group if they could use a drone to pick up instant noodles, and he also agreed. Jiayang was watching the surveillance video upstairs, and there were no wandering zombies near the bakery. 2 mothers prepared food, and my dad and I went to open the door connecting the garden and bakery. The body of the boy who was eaten earlier downstairs emitted a rotten smell. My father and I put it down and immediately closed the door, gasping for breath, hoping to quickly expel the foul-smelling air that had just been sucked into our stomachs. The homestay owner quickly dispatched his own drone, which was hooked with wire, and successfully removed the instant noodles and fast food we had prepared. We received gratitude from the homestay owner in the WeChat group, and other villagers also began to seek help from the homestay owner and us. Some say they have children at home and are really starving, some say that there are elderly people at home who cannot take medicine without eating, some say it can be bought with money. So we counted all the instant noodles we had purchased before, as well as some compressed biscuits. I searched upstairs and found a bag of milk powder. In the request for help information, AIT asked the homestay owner to help deliver food to the villagers in need. But I didn't expect that this move would attract a larger group of people to seek help, and WeChat had a lot of information about adding friends. After seeing it, Jiayang asked me not to reply anymore, and at this point, some villagers who were lacking food began to discuss in the group. There must be a lot of food left at her house. Yes. Her family used to run a bakery, with a lot of flour, milk, and so on. Last time I also asked for help in the group, and she helped Sihan and his family. My elderly family can only drink water from the faucet these days. Too heartless, just watching us die like this. They are all from the same village, relying on us to attract tourists to make money. If we hide ourselves, we are still not human. The homestay owner couldn't see it and sent out a voice message. Stop talking, Xiaolin and his family should at least come up with some instant noodles to help us. Isn't it even more important for us to unite now? With so many zombies outside, we need to find a way. I didn't expect that the owner of the homestay's speech drew even greater anger from the villagers. You got help, so naturally you helped them speak up. I see that the homestay owner is usually so greedy for money, so he must have taken their money. With so many homestay guests, he has also taken a lot of money for meals these days, right? It's hard to make a fortune in a country. You're really not human. After a scolding, I don't know who said in the group. There is no water or electricity. What should I do when facing people in need and preparing some supplies myself? End of this chapter. Chapter 7. His plan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. His plan. Upon seeing the news in the group, I immediately turned on the bathroom light and turned on the faucet. The faucet first produced a few drops of water, but later there was no water left. The light bulb also showed no response. There is really a water and power outage. Jiayang's mother was cooking downstairs when she shouted, "No water." I went downstairs. Jiayang has been tinkering with something in the study downstairs these days. When he heard his mother's voice, he went to the cellar and brought a bucket of water. Dad quickly connected the plugs of the freezer and refrigerator to the battery. Mom is watering the vegetable garden. We have already planted many seeds before, such as cabbage, lettuce, cucumber, and small tomato. It is in March and April, and I think they should grow quickly. The cabbage has already grown a section, and it is expected to be harvested in a few days. On the 22nd day of the zombie outbreak and the second day of water shortage. The phone in my pocket is constantly receiving new messages. I have not disturbed the village merchant group, which is nothing more than some help-seeking information, complaints, and verbal abuse. In just over 20 days, the shortage of supplies, sudden interruption of water and electricity, and delayed rescue efforts have lowered everyone's desire for survival. The number of people sending messages in the group is decreasing, and it is also possible that the phone is out of battery and unable to send messages anymore. The owner of the homestay sent a message, and his voice was suppressed very low. Xiaolin's wife, do you know some insider information about zombies? Since it's time to cut off water and electricity, I'll open the skylight and speak frankly. A few times ago, I controlled a drone to go to your place to pick up things, and I found out that you actually installed one-way perspective glass, which is bulletproof and thickened. I have seen it in the material market before, and that thing is not cheap. You didn't make much money opening a bakery, but you spent all your money on it. There must be something extraordinary, right? My heart was pounding uncontrollably, and I tried to calm down and reply, no, Feej. You also know that a while ago, the renovation of the farmhouse was going on, and we also want to follow suit. Don't lie to me, can't I still see it? A while ago, a wholesale market truck by truck was transporting goods to your house. Last time, Xiaolin had to use the abandoned water storage bucket in the farmhouse kitchen. You already knew that zombies were about to explode. I couldn't hide it anymore, so I went to the study to discuss with Jiayang how to deal with it. Jiayang gestured for me to speak truthfully. Feej, we do know some news. Before the zombie outbreak, I came across a news about a new virus online, but the news was quickly suppressed. Jiayang and I thought it was fake, but we were worried that the virus would really break out, so we made some preparations. Just tell me how to develop in the future. Can we still live? I took a deep breath, but I don't know if we can continue to live like this and stay active in this small space. After preparing food for a year, what about a year later? Will zombies disappear? Will there be survivors like us then? I have too many questions. I cannot answer the homestay owner, nor can I answer myself. I don't know, there's currently no way to deal with zombies. All we can do is wait for the zombies to disappear. The water and electricity have been cut off now. The homestay owner raised his voice, as if realizing something, and then said, without water, we can't last long. Feej, what happened to you there? I thought of his lowered voice, something was really wrong. Yesterday we rushed out of the homestay, and now we are at a farmhouse. There are countless zombies outside, and they will rush over like crazy whenever they hear the voice of humans. I gestured for Jiayang to come and listen, finally understanding what was happening in the homestay and also understanding the plan of the homestay owner. In the first week of the zombie outbreak, although it came unexpectedly, there were many people in the homestay, but with the comfort of the homestay owner, everyone's emotions were relatively stable. In the second week, food began to be scarce, and everyone began to reduce their daily food intake. Each person divided a bag of instant noodles into one for each day. Everyone's emotions began to become unstable, complaining about the delay in rescue efforts. In the third week, someone had already hallucinated and ran to the kitchen of a homestay, holding a knife, wanting to commit suicide. A few young people who came to the village for tourism finally managed to suppress it, but with consecutive water and power outages, everyone's emotions had reached their peak, and some even wanted to open the door wide for everyone to be buried. The homestay owner, by manipulating the drone, discovered that the owner of the farmhouse had been attacked as early as the zombie outbreak. The warehouse and cafeteria of farmhouse have left behind a large amount of grain and mineral water. So they decided to transfer. Finally, everyone made a plan and transferred the base area the day before yesterday. But during the transfer process, several people were still attacked by zombies. At present, in addition to the homestay owner, there are also 7 men and 2 women who are survivors of rural tourism, all of whom are tourists from the city. I came to see you all just to cooperate with you and restore the entire village's water and power supply. Jiayang and I looked at each other, we never thought about it. Since receiving the news of the zombie outbreak, our goal has always been to preserve ourselves and reserve enough food to survive the apocalypse. If we cooperate, then more people will survive. Jiayang, what do you think? In fact, these days, I have also been thinking about cutting off water and electricity. After cutting off water, people can't hold on for long, and the villagers will soon die. Recalling the past village, various beautiful memories flooded into my heart. My grandparents passed away early, and Zhang, who lives next door, is like our grandparents. They often give us homemade eggs produced by their own hens to eat. Aunt Zhang from the farmhouse always sees me happily digging out fresh vegetables in the field, and she always gives us a little as a gift. Mr. Zhang Xiaozhang is very enthusiastic, and he helped us a lot during our home renovation. Knowing that I love children but cannot conceive, Sihan always comes to me with her own children to play with. Now, we see Grandpa and Grandma Zhang being dismembered and eaten by zombies, Aunt Zhang and Xiao Zhang turning into zombies who roam the village all day long, and the children of Sihan's family are still struggling on the brink of life and death. We can't just watch the villagers die like this. I said firmly. Wife, we have the same idea. So, I prepared to send a voice message to the homestay owner on WeChat, telling him our first step. The power has been cut off, and we don't know when the network will be cut off. The homestay owner's phone won't last long. So he needs to find a way to come to the bakery and take away the walkie-talkie we prepared before. The high-capacitance walkie-talkie we purchased can be used for at least 3 days or more, ensuring our communication. Perhaps my parents have been listening to our plan at the door for a long time. Just as I was about to send out a message, my dad pushed the door in. I disagree. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Addressing water supply. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Addressing water supply. I disagree. Dad pushed the door in. You know how dangerous it is outside. The eyes of the two mothers were filled with worry. Jiayang's mother said, Jiayang, you've seen your father like that. We really don't want you two to take such a big risk. Mom continued, how many zombies have we seen eating people on the second floor these days, and how many people have turned into zombies? They are not humans at all, they are demons. Since we already have this safe house, I just want the 5 of us to stay safe. Perhaps in a year, the zombies will have nothing to eat and disappear, said Jiayang's mother. After a moment of silence, Jiayang spoke up, we help others and also help ourselves. We have a safe house, but it is not reliable. The news comes too quickly and urgently. In fact, this safe house is not safe. If the number of zombies increases, they can easily flatten us. At that time, we will either become food for zombies or become zombies. If we are lucky enough to avoid zombies, but we only have 1 year of food storage, our vegetables in the garden are very good, but the water used for watering is cut off. We cannot use the water in the bucket to water, and sooner or later we will finish drinking our water and eating our food. If we take action now, there will still be plenty of food and a large number of survivors in the village. We can help each other, at least not just an island. There was another silence, and it seemed that my parents were accepting Jiayang's statement. I told them about what happened in the homestay during this period and their discoveries. Due to the height of the homestay building, they have better observation. Zombies are often found wandering aimlessly when their targets are not found. Their eyesight seems to be extremely poor, and their physical strength and hearing are excellent. When they encounter objects that are moving at high speed and have sound, they will follow behind like crazy. A guard dog named Ah Huang was kept in the homestay. Ah Huang was so hungry that he couldn't bear it and ran out. As soon as he left, the zombies quickly followed suit. But after tearing and discovering that it was not human flesh, it returned to its original slow appearance. The zombies are also very sensitive to the voice of UAVs. They tried to reach the UAV like a stack of men, but because the height of the UAV is high enough, they have been unable to reach it. Due to the decreasing number of humans outside, zombies have gradually reduced their travel activities. The number of zombies during the day is the highest, but at night, the number of zombies will decrease and it's unclear where to hide. The homestay owner did not elaborate on how they transferred to farmhouse entertainment, and a hint of strangeness flashed in my heart. However, it was obvious that his method was very useful, at least they escaped the food crisis. Even wanting to help other people who have cut off water and electricity, unite everyone's strength. Okay. What are we going to do? Dad said first. According to the plan. We will first put the walkie-talkie in a plastic bag. The drone of the homestay owner is not flying smoothly, probably because there is not much electricity left. We tried our best to deliver the walkie-talkie to the homestay owner's side. The preset channel, press the speak button. Hello, hello. A burst of electric current echoed, and the owner of the homestay heard the sound of received, received. Midnight is approaching. The first step in emergency repair is to restore water supply to the entire village. Through the information collected by the homestay owner, we learned that there were two sources of water supply in the village. One was the local mountain reservoir and the other was the large reservoir in the city. A few years ago, the village focused on developing tourism and emphasizing water quality, while also experiencing a sharp increase in water usage. Changed the source of tap water from the local mountain reservoir to a large reservoir in the city. The water outage this time is likely due to the rupture of the water pipe connecting to the large reservoir. So this time we need to go to the mountain and open the opening of the local reservoir, using the water in the local reservoir as an emergency water source. The homestay owner is responsible for guiding the zombies who are still moving in the dark, while we are responsible for opening the door. Our house is backed by the mountain where the reservoir is located. Starting from the back of our house and climbing up the mountain, there is indeed a very good mountain road. Before, my grandfather and I went to the reservoir together, and Jiayang didn't trust me. In the end, we decided to set off with Jiayang, and my parents stayed to watch the house. We have agreed that in case of emergency, always be prepared to abandon us, close the door, and live until the last moment of the apocalypse, carrying our share. As night fell, upon receiving news from the homestay owner, we observed that the zombies here were truly scattered step by step. Our bakery, there's not a single zombie near our home. Seeing this scene, we carried our backpacks and began searching for the reservoir on the mountain. At this time, it is 7 p.m. In the dark of the night, we dared not turn on the lights and groped forward. Occasionally, a small pit appeared that left me feeling empty. Jiayang is supporting me next to me. Suddenly, Jiayang covered my mouth. I widened my eyes and my breathing slowed down. I could hear myself and Jiayang's heartbeat, bang, 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 bang. About 20 meters away from us, that is a zombie. I don't know if this zombie went up the mountain, nor do I know how Jiayang discovered this zombie. After the zombie outbreak, they all evolved special abilities. At this moment, I heard the soft and slow breathing of Jiayang. Watching the zombie walking in a strange posture, he suddenly stopped and looked around, as if he was tired and fixed there. Later, he resumed his rigid movements and moved forward, slowly getting closer to us. Jiayang covered my mouth and slowly moved, taking me to hide behind the tree. It's amazing that this zombie didn't find us. Step by step, walk in another direction and continue to use its strange posture. We stood for an unknown amount of time, and my nervous heart finally relaxed. Unexpectedly, my body also relaxed and I almost fell. I quickly grabbed Jiayang's backpack, but grabbed the axe next to it. He actually brought an axe. I am always ready to blow up the heads of these zombies. Jiayang left this sentence lightly. After speaking, he pulled me to continue searching for the reservoir. Finally, 4 hours later, we found the reservoir. We searched for the opening of the reservoir for half a day, and after turning the old switch for half a day, we heard the water slowly flowing in the reservoir. At this point, everyone's dietary difficulties should have been resolved. Standing next to the reservoir and looking down, some houses in the village seemed to have something like a hornet's nest next to them, a dark mass. We continued down the mountain and finally saw through those dark things of the day. Those are zombies. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Zombie Attack. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Zombie Attack. They seem to still retain the habits of humanity. Work at sunrise and rest at sunset. A large number of zombies, due to not eating for too long, move slowly, sit with rigid movements, and some constantly kowtow to the wall. Some of them are missing half of their bodies and are crawling on the ground. Some keep trembling their bodies. We walked down the mountain, and the noisy and delicate sounds began to seep into our ears. I asked Jiayang softly, "Jiayang, did you hear me?" Jiayang stopped and listened carefully. "Is it the sound of the wind?" "It's a bit like the sound of bees flying." We continued walking down the mountain, and the sound grew louder and louder. "Did they make this sound?" I pointed to the zombie. "Because this voice is exactly the same as the voice in Jiayang's throat when his father just changed." Jiayang nodded. "I'm a bit strange. I've never heard these sounds before. Maybe we've been staying in a safe house and not paying attention." I looked at my watch and it's now 3:30 a.m. It is now March and April, and the daylight is very long. When we first set off, the sun had just set and the sky was not as bright. It was around 7 o'clock. Because we encountered a zombie in the middle, we searched for the reservoir for about 4 hours. After opening the reservoir, we immediately set off down the mountain. According to the owner of the homestay, there will be fewer activities for zombies at night, but it's strange how the number of zombies in the village has increased. It's too late. Jiayang observed around and there were no signs of zombies. He immediately ran with me. My head is messy, but my legs keep running with Jiayang, and I can't feel any soreness. There are many branches on the road, and our shoes make a creaking sound when we step on them. I heard the constant sound of leaves falling and rubbing in the forest. About 10 minutes later, we saw our house and our parents saw us. They greeted us on the second floor to come back quickly. But there are a few zombies wandering around the back door. Their mouths made a gurgling sound, their throats kept making phlegm-stuck sounds, and their heads were shaking as if they had just turned into zombies. What should we do? Jiayang. My heart was beating violently. With so many zombies, are we going to die here? Jiayang immediately took out a mask and swimming goggles from his backpack and asked me to put them on. He also prepared a pair himself. Then he handed me the axe from his backpack and said, "Cut at their heads." Then he took out a baseball bat himself. My brain didn't have time to react. Jiayang rushed towards the zombies at the back door, and those zombies didn't have time to react. After their heads were smashed, they immediately knelt down. At this moment, Jiayang has opened up a space, and I quickly ran over. At this point, the surrounding zombies had already reacted, and one of them ran very fast. Its hand was about to catch me. "Ah!" I screamed, gripping my hands tightly and waving my axe. I feel as if a huge tomato has been crushed in front of me, and a large lump of tomato juice bursts out. Some dots drip onto my body, giving off a smell of blood. My heart is still beating violently, and I am holding an axe in my hand that keeps trembling. My swimming goggles are stained with zombie blood, making it difficult for me to see clearly what is in front of me. But I could feel my parents standing beside me, and Jiayang seemed to have said something to them. They scattered back and found something to spray on us. Jiayang took off his clothes and came to help me take off my clothes, take off my mask and swimming goggles. The closed door behind me suddenly made a crashing sound. Is it the zombie from earlier? The sound I made attracted the nearby zombies who were heading towards us. More zombies are colliding with the door behind us. This door has been replaced once during the renovation of the safe house and is a very sturdy anti-theft door. However, we don't know if our defense line will collapse if so many zombies collide at the same time. The 5 of us held onto this door tightly, and slowly, the zombies seemed to shift their focus. They surrounded our house layer by layer, and the glass on the top of the vegetable garden revealed one disgusting face after another. Under the moonlight, half of the faces of the zombies were covered. They stared at us intently, but they couldn't see anything. Their bodies twisted strangely on the glass roof, with zombies stacked one after another, but they didn't seem to feel the weight. They lay on their stomach, wriggling and roaring in their throats that they couldn't eat. Their mouths still have blood clots left, and their bodies still have blood stains, but they have all turned black and solidified. That's the face of a zombie, that's the face of a familiar villager. I still can't get used to it and keep vomiting. The stench of zombies mixed with the smell of vomit made me increasingly nauseous. In no time, I fell to the ground and fainted. When I woke up, I lay in my own room, all the stains on my body washed away, and Jia Yang sat next to me. My head poked out of the blanket and I called out, "Jia Yang." Jia Yang immediately hugged me tightly in his arms. "Jia Yang, I killed someone." I couldn't help but be afraid. They are no longer human. But before that, they were still living people. I remembered, it was Aunt Chen's daughter who was beaten in the head by me. She is only 23 years old and is about to graduate from college. Recently, she interned in the city while writing a thesis. It was the weekend, and she probably came home to help. A few days ago, she was still seeking help among the villagers. Now, I have killed her. It wasn't you who killed her, it was the person who created the virus. It was you who liberated her. If you didn't blow her head, she would make more people turn into zombies, maybe you would turn into zombies. Do you want to eat me? Do you want to eat my parents? Jia Yang asked me. I don't want to. I hugged Jia Yang tightly, feeling tears in my eyes. Jia Yang's clothes sucked away all my tears. I suddenly thought of the zombies surrounding us. Where are the zombies? Aren't we surrounded? Jia Yang began to slowly explain to me. He sought help in the group organized by X and learned that zombies were afraid of violent explosions and gunpowder. Coincidentally, there were a few firecrackers left at home during the Chinese New Year. Dad threw a few firecrackers on the second floor while the zombies were not paying attention. The zombie slowly faded away. But there are still some zombies hovering near us. What about the additional zombies? Why did there suddenly be so many more zombies? I thought of Aunt Chen's daughter. Isn't she hiding from zombies at home like us? How did it suddenly turn into a zombie? Jia Yang brought the water cup by the bedside and gestured to me. I understand. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Power Supply Failure. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Power Supply Failure. After we opened the water in the reservoir, the families who were short of water immediately drank the water from the faucet. Not long after drinking water, the same situation as Jia Yang's father appeared, and they quickly turned into zombies. The daughter of Aunt Chen, who had my head blown out, only became a zombie after drinking water contaminated with zombies. Nearly half of the remaining survivors turned into zombies tonight. The homestay owner and his team boiled water in the kitchen of the farmhouse and drank it, but there was no mutation. Other households have gas in their homes, so they boil the water first and then drink it. We don't know whether our choices are right or wrong, and whether what we do is cause or effect. We risked our lives to open backup water sources on the mountain in order to help villagers solve their drinking water difficulties and allow them to survive for a longer period of time. However, this led to more people mutating into zombies. The number of people sending messages in the group is decreasing, and the drinking water crisis has broken the last line of defense for the survivors. We see the skinny villagers shouting and rushing out, attracting the attention of the zombies and being swallowed by them, eventually turning into a pile of bones. Some drove out and narrowly avoided the first wave of zombie attacks, but in the end, they were infected and mutated, becoming a member of the zombie army. We have replanned the allocation of water resources. Bottled water is still mainly used for drinking and cooking. We first precipitate the water in the faucet, filter it with gauze and gravel, and then boil it to cool it down. The cooled water can be used for bathing, washing clothes, dishes, and so on. We also use the filtered water to water the vegetables in the garden. At present, the vegetables in the vegetable garden are growing normally, and we cook all the vegetables before eating them. After restoring the water supply, I can at least take a shower, comforting myself. After a few days of cultivation, the homestay owner sent another message stating that their farmhouse had run out of electricity and even used up their last flashlight. He plans to restore power to the village. Dad heard the plan of the homestay owner and knew it was related to electricity, so he took the initiative to ask himself to go. Who else here knows more about circuits besides me? It's no use either of you going, my father said firmly. Both children can go to great lengths to solve the water supply for the entire village. I have to contribute and become a hero. Perhaps the last successful collaboration between the homestay owner and us gave hope to the two mothers, and they did not hold any objections this time. Jiayang and I also found it very reliable. Just like last time we went out, I prepared a backpack for my dad, which contained some ropes, an axe, tools for repairing circuits, a head-mounted lamp, some compressed biscuits, and a few bottles of mineral water. We also prepared protective measures to prevent the zombies' blood from splashing onto Dad's body in the event of a crisis. Just in case, I also prepared some firecrackers in my backpack. Dad's backpack is bulging. Like last time, night fell. The team of homestay owners led away a large number of zombies. But there was something different from last time. The owner of the homestay also brought a car this time. Dad turned around to look at us and got on the car with a strong and spirited attitude. We watched Dad off at the entrance of the bakery. After seeing off my dad, we immediately closed the door to the bakery. The four of us cleaned the bakery with boiling water. Before cleaning, when we tied up my dad's place, my mom couldn't help but cry. After cleaning the bakery, we also sprayed a large amount of disinfectant to prevent any excess viruses. Afterwards, there was endless waiting, and the homestay owner never received any new news. No news, that's the best news. Jiayang comforted me, and Jiayang's mother also said, Xiaoqi, take a good rest these days. Last time you went out, you were scared. Why don't you go upstairs and take a nap? We'll wake you up when Dad comes back, okay? Mom said. I nodded and went upstairs to sleep with Jiayang. The two mothers stayed downstairs, waiting for Dad to come back. Returning to my room and lying in bed, I quickly fell asleep. In my sleep, I stood alone at the entrance of our holiday village. I felt the ground shaking violently. I bent down and looked back. Behind me, there were groups of zombies running in my direction at a speed of 100 meters. The scene was exactly the same as what I had seen in the Busan movie. Looking back, Jia Yang was right ahead, and I shouted desperately, Jia Yang. Jia Yang. Why are you ignoring me? I touched Jia Yang again, and when he turned around, his face was covered in blood. I woke up crying and shouting, and Jia Yang immediately hugged me, gently stroking my back and comforting me. Xiaoqi, what's wrong? Did you have a nightmare? That's all fake. I dreamt that you became a zombie, and no matter how I called you, you ignored me. I couldn't help but sob, as the long-suppressed atmosphere weighed down my breath. The atmosphere of the apocalypse really made me feel mentally broken. If it weren't for my family around me, I wouldn't know how to spend this month or so. There is still a large group of zombies behind me, they are about to pounce. It's okay, babies. They're all fake. We just happened to stay at home well. I hugged Jiayang for a long time, and the sky began to dim. Jiayang got up and went to open the curtains. Dad hasn't come back yet. Not yet. It's probably because electricity is difficult to repair. Just open an opening gate in the reservoir, and the circuit is very complex. Jiayang's words gave me some comfort, but my heart still felt a little uneasy. A day has passed and there has been no new news from the homestay owner. After dinner, night fell again and I heard the roar of zombies in the distance. Can't it be Dad's side that has an accident? I asked anxiously. No way. Mom's voice trembled slightly, but her concern could also be heard. Subsequently, the sound of tearing and biting gradually decreased. Bang. Bang. Suddenly, there were two sounds of firecrackers near the bakery. Has Dad come back? The four of us walked to the entrance of the bakery, ready to welcome Dad. The door of the bakery was lightly slammed twice, and I twisted the handle to open it. The figure outside the door was familiar to me, it was Dad. But a silver light flashed around Dad's neck, it was a dagger. Upon closer inspection, Dad's two arms were placed behind him, as if they were tied from behind. Jiayang remained calm and asked, "Who are you?" Slowly walking out from behind my dad, he was, end of this chapter.